morning to you.
Good morning, Jimmy.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. A little on the tired side, but I've been told that the world is ran by tired people.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Must be all right. So,
I think so.
Fortunately, we got our daily dose of rain. Welcome to the southern Seattle.
It's been crazy every day, I think. So,
Wild stuff. So,
of course, I took the opportunity to kind of try and do something in the pool. I wasn't in the pool, but I was trying to clean it and get chemicals, set. But every time it rains hard, it just throws everything out of whack. But
yeah,
I got to try and stay on top of it.
Yeah. Got to do what you can. So,
too much rain and too much cold. Can't do anything with the.
Yeah, who would have thought it's too cold to go swimming in June?
Yeah,
in Texas anyway.
In Texas.
So, well, I want to kind of start by giving just a heartfelt thank you to ALF. The effort given by our church folk during this week's For the City was really, really great. It was great to see folks out and just serving, and that means a lot. It really does. And ALF was what was I going to say? Oh, no, For the City was struggling. We thought it was all going to be rained out. And ended up, it was touched, but it wasn't touched too badly. So appreciate
a lot of people around town. So that was good.
A lot of good work was done.
Mm-hmm.
It's still one of the most unique ways to open a discussion. I got to have many discussions. One, just wearing the shirt, people go, For the City, what is that? So it was good. And Lord willing, maybe next year we'll be able to get back to a more robust effort. And also I want to say how proud I am and how much I appreciate the church family for yesterday's ministry to care of the boys, the family, as we celebrated Tim's life. Yesterday was a difficult day, but it's wonderful to see people love and serve and encourage. So,
yeah,
good morning
it was
to
a good
my
day.
Florida family. Good to see you.
Good morning.
So it was good. It was a good day.
Yeah, so we had people on campus Wednesday, which looks like things are kind of getting back to normal a little bit, right?
A little bit. Yeah, we're, Lord willing, we'll look at the fall here pretty quickly and start looking at a more normal program.
Mm-hmm.
There's Joshua.
Morning, Josh.
Since Josh is coming on, Josh and his family are heading out today for a much needed vacation. So if the world falls in, call me.
Or Jeff, where are you heading, Josh?
Yeah, if it's at 10 o'clock and before 8 o'clock, call Jeff.
Yeah.
We're going on a tour through the South. We're going to stop and see my little brother Nathan and his wife Madison in North Little Rock or Maumelle, Arkansas. Then we'll cross through Memphis, taking the bridge that Jimmy's dad has suggested instead of the one that's held together by duct tape and zip ties. And spend the next night in Tuscaloosa, Alabama with our dear friends David Walton and his wife Emily. And then the day after that, we'll make the final trek to Mecca, ye old Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
So, and then we'll be there for like 3 or 4 days, and then we'll come back, spend the night in Vicksburg, and see the Civil War Memorial, and then come on home.
Nice.
So I heard they were out there patching that bridge up with JB Weld.
Hey, little JB Weld, a little what do they use that keeps the water out? That spray stuff.
Flex Seal.
Flex Seal.
Yeah. JB Weld.
Yeah.
So I'm about to sound like an expert here, but I'm not. When you're in Vicksburg, if you want a really great pizza,
yes,
there's a restaurant downtown. It's about 2 streets up from the river, and man, it makes a great pizza. So
we'll need dinner when we come through. So I'm going to write that down. Downtown in Vicksburg. Yeah, it's funny because you say the river, and people who've never been through Vicksburg might not know that that river is the river.
The river.
That's the Mississippi River. That's a big old
so
boy.
when I say river, there's Mississippi, which is the river, And then there's the Colorado, which is a river. And then there's the Columbia, which is my river. So
now, does the Colorado become the Red River, or is the Red River branch off the Colorado? I could be wrong on that, but I thought it was. Jeff, do you know?
There. You got me.
All right, if anybody knows
for that test this morning.
If anybody knows the source of the Red River, if it's the Colorado.
God is the source of the Red River.
God is the source.
The only one I know is the Sabine. So
the East Sabine.
The Sabine Creek.
Yeah, Sabine Creek.
So I have failed. I have failed. I've been a little distracted over since Mother's Day. Our wonderful partners, the Rafa Clinic, has been doing an ongoing fundraiser, an online baby bottle fundraiser. It's a great one. The baby bottle fundraiser was awesome. 2, the online one's better because I don't have to keep up with the baby bottles. But our goal as a church is a donation of $500, and I'm really tardy in putting that forward, and we're going to announce it today. And I'm going to be providing for you a link where you can go directly to our baby bottle page and make a contribution. And I can't encourage you enough to do that.
There's a little friendly competition going on, across the city to see who can raise the most. So East Texas Print Shop is technically in competition with Authentic Life Fellowship. So I'm a little conflicted here.
Yeah.
So,
I understand.
So, I don't know.
So late to the date. I don't know,
Well,
my goodness.
I'm here. I'll say give through the ALF link. How about that?
There you go.
I'm sorry. I was distracted by the camera. What? Someone is backing up to the kitchen door. Who is that?
That somebody with food, maybe.
Hey.
Why would food be?
Don't question it.
Hey, if somebody's bringing food, what are you?
I just see a car backing up to the door. I don't know, So last week, Wednesday nights, we've got Wednesday nights on campus, and this week we've got a family event on campus. It's going to be good. Oh, it's Miss Cindy. She can do whatever she wants. So that's going to be great at 6:00. We will also have our digital online presence at 6:00. And last week I prepared them that the summer means different. And Wednesday night is online is going to be a little different. And I already told you that Josh is going to be somewhere else. So what could I have up my sleeves this week? You'll have to tune in to see. But it'll be good. Let me tell you this. It is worth the stop by, either live or if you're here on campus afterwards. It will be worth the stop by.
That's a guarantee.
That's a guarantee. And that is not because of me. It's who else may be.
Oh, there we go. He's got a guest.
Okay.
So
what were you saying, Josh?
I'm interested to see what he does when we're at the Rough Riders game. If he just starts the stream and lets people watch.
Why not?
That's it. Oh, hey, that would be cool though. Get up in the corner at a table and put the game as your backdrop. That wouldn't be. Yeah. That'd be pretty all right.
Then 2 weeks later, you get the old letter from MLB about their unauthorized reproduction, blah 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 blah.
Yes, that would be kind of funny. So.
We got that on our stream yesterday. There was for Brother Tim. There's a copyright claim on your music. I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, like goodness, we can't.
Did it drop the sound during the?
I have to look at it. I haven't done it, but usually it's like the partially muted for like whatever song it was. It's probably just the intro stuff when I was playing instrumental hymns. But usually when they do it at the church, because I think it's automatic. I think they just put everything goes to a filter, and if they can, how they do with the AI, if they can catch it, they partially mute it. But usually, if I go in and I what do they call it, contest it and explain, usually they drop it. So
okay,
I don't think there's a physical human that listened to it and went, "Oh, I recognize that song. That's Amazing Grace." It just goes through. It's just computers. Our whole world, just computers.
Well, the webcast yesterday, the number of people that were able to access it was really quite large, and I'm so glad we have that. Not only that we have it, but that it's available at such a high quality. the picture and everything yesterday. The service just looked beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. So thanks to everybody that runs that, and thanks to everyone who's given to build that up over the years. So.
Yeah, that's a labor of love. There's a lot of people that, from Jason building the good 5G in there, and Tim and Jared running the cameras and everything we got. It takes a team, man. We got a whole team, and we're, I wonder if some of the people in our fellowship realize I've been to churches. Well, Jeff, you were at this church when it was just you blend music from tracks, but a lot of churches don't have 20 people that help with music and worship and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah. See, I don't talk about it too much because I don't want other churches trying to poach. Because I'm telling you, they'll poach on you.
Well, was it who was it that it was it Chet or something? Somebody else was talking about recently. If look at it when they were over here looking to see if there any other people were over here, and I thought that's so funny. That's such a pastor's thing. I'm gonna go visit this church, see if any of my people are over here.
That's right. Yeah. If I see any faces. Yeah. Well, that's where two people don't recognize each other in another church.
Now, when y'all were young, when y'all were younger, when y'all were kids, was church membership like a really big deal?
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
You had to move your membership, and it was to be.
What was it? The seeker movement? What kind of was the death knell of the? I mean, membership's so important. We obviously hold to its importance, but I just mean in general, it's not seen as binding, I guess, or whatever as it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, so they would request from another. So let's say, I went to Highland Terrace back in the day, right, from ALF. And I went and I joined the church. You walk down front and you say you want to join the church and all that. And I say, okay, welcome. They would request my letter from Authentic Life Fellowship. And whatever happened behind the scenes, I don't know what the letter meant, but maybe it was just, yes, Jeff is a member of this church.
I'll tell you, the sad thing is the church being requested of the letter usually didn't have the courage to be honest about the people that were moving. I mean, sometimes you get a request for a letter and you're like, woo, thank you, Jesus.
Finally.
Yes.
So was it like a letter recommendation? Like, yes, they're members in good standing here and they love Jesus and blah, blah, blah?
It was a form letter.
Okay.
If you were a big enough church, your third secretary sent it. It was a whole lot to do about nothing. Yeah. The truth is we made church membership, for the most part, just a cheap patch we put on a shirt. When you will make a person a member of your church just because they walk down front on one Sunday morning.
Is that all it took?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you would be voted in right there and then.
So they didn't even know if you were like saved or anything?
Well, that didn't matter.
I mean, they would eventually somebody would ask you, but
eventually.
Maybe.
Yeah, eventually you'd get around to finding out, but
as long as you tithe.
It really was. It was really interesting because I believe in church membership. I think there is a value to it, but it really is amazing how the value of that has changed, and the I don't want to use the word loyalty, but the loyalty to one church has changed, because today, and we have folks who feel like they have multiple churches. And it's not like one's better than the other. They just have a relationship with multiple churches, and that's a very modern thing.
Let me see Jeff's an elder at another church. Let me see, Jeff, that you're an elder at another church. See what happens.
Yeah.
I gotta run, boys. Let you get to it. All right. It's
all right. Let's see.
All right. See.
Bye.
All right, brother. I'm gonna teach. You're welcome to stay on or pop off or whatever you want to do.
Well, I'll come back. Which do you want? I can stay. I can come back.
Well, I tell you what. Stay on, because we could probably have some good banter on this back and forth. And all right, let me take the lead here real quick and let me set the stage. Good morning, everyone. So, we are. It's been several weeks since I've been online teaching due to being gone. I was going through a series, Gods of War, and we're going to pick that back up. So some of this might be a little bit of a recap to kind of level set us again. Gods of War is a novel written by Kyle Eineman. He's a teaching pastor at one of the largest churches in America, or I believe he's still there. This book was written some time ago, but the kind of problem statement, or the thing that we will be discussing through this series, is the idols that we have in our lives. And a lot of times we say, well, I don't worship graven images. I don't worship things made of wood or metal or gold or things like that. But we all may have idols in our lives that we need to identify. And what we'll talk about is the instant something takes the place of God, the moment it becomes in and of itself that thing, that pursuit, that ideal. Um, if it is something that's more important than God, that becomes an idol in our lives. And if we're not able to simply lay that thing, whatever it is, at the feet of Jesus, that becomes an idol in our lives. So again, when someone or something replaces God in the position of glory in our lives, that person or that thing, by definition, has become our God, has become our idol. And the couple things we're going to talk about today is kind of worshiping at the temple of pleasure and the temple of entertainment. And have you ever thought about where pleasure, what position that it holds in your lives? Now, I'm okay with having fun. I'm okay with having games. I come from a family that loves to play games and joke around and cut up and have a good time. Whether we're if you like to tell stories, sing songs, whatever. So I'm not being a downer here saying that you can't enjoy your time and you can't have pleasure. I'm not saying that, but typically in our lives today, in our modern lives today, if we're not having fun, if we're not being energized, then it really isn't pleasurable to us, and we want to move on to the next thing, and we want to find something else. There's in the pleasure industry, and I'm just not talking about sexual pursuits or things like that in the pleasure industry. I'm talking about entertainment. I'm talking about media. I'm talking about social media, food, music, any type of drugs or things like that. So there's a lot of things. And it's estimated that around $10 trillion is spent each year on trying to make us happy. And in a post-industrial society, all of our survival needs are met. So we sold the farm and we moved to the city, where miraculously all of our food is at our fingertips, right? So we don't have to spend our time growing our food or finding our food or preparing our food, as Jimmy and I may talk about maybe when he comes back on a little later about in Africa. When we went to Africa, every day that individual had to go get a pot, had to go down to the river to get water, had to get wood for a fire, had to build that fire, had to boil that water, then had to find something to put in that water. So it was an effort just for a morning meal. I got up this morning, dropped my pot in my Keurig for my coffee, which I still think takes a little bit too long to make. But anyway, it's there, and had me a bowl of cereal. My milk was in the fridge. My cereal was in a box, and everything was there. And within 15 minutes, I was done. So, because all of our needs are pretty much met, we have a surplus of time. And you might say, well, wait a minute, Jeff, I don't have any extra time. I've got, my day's scheduled. Every moment is taken up for, but we are busy. We are busy chasing the things that we think are going to make us happy. So it takes up a lot of our time. We're too busy chasing pleasure. So if you remember back in Joshua 24, remember Joshua's speech, he challenges the people to choose which God they would choose. And the people choose the Lord God. And they told him, hey, throw away your gods and throw away your the gods of the Egyptians. But instead of throwing them away, all they did is they just kind of packed them up in crates and slid them under the bed, or put them in storage, right? They didn't totally get rid of them. So instead of doing that, they did that. So several hundred years pass. I'm going to set up this story, and Jimmy, I'll bring you back on. Several hundred years pass. Israel splits into a couple kingdoms, and then one king thinks, hey, it's good that we bring out these old gods of storage. So he brings them out for the people to worship. Those kings come and go. through time, and they continue to worship these idols and kind of make it part of their everyday life. And then one king comes along, Ahab, and 1 Kings 16:30 says that Ahab did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him. He marries a woman named Jezebel. Um, you know, whenever I hear Jezebel, that's just one of the names that you don't name your daughter anymore. That name comes with context, right? So he marries a woman named Jezebel, whose name is synonymous with manipulation or immoral behavior, and she sets up an altar and a temple for the god of Baal. She kills a bunch of prophets of God, and God kind of gets tired of it and the people's unfaithfulness, and sends Elijah to Ahab. And Elijah tells the king, "As the Lord, the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word." That's in 1 Kings 17. Now, why does God send Elijah? Jimmy, you can come back on if you want here. So why does God send Elijah to the king, and they start picking on the weather? Why does he say no rain or no dew is going to take place unless at my word? I'll give you the answer. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I know you know it, but weather is kind of Baal's thing, right? Baal is a weather god. So it's his number one talent. It's his number one thing is the weather. So God says, okay, I'm going to withhold the rain. But the reason why he withholds the rain is he needs to get the attention of the unfaithful people. To he wanted to interrupt their biggest item of interest. So they had the false gods, they had the false idols. Baal has been put on a pedestal. So God is going to attack Baal, and I won't go through the whole story of how he destroys it. But the point here is that God is going to get our attention one way or the other when all of our pursuits are anything except Him. So, in the context of that story, Brother Jimmy, let's kind of stop here a second and say, what are some of the things that the world, you and I, any person listening to this message, what are some things that we can pursue in the pursuit of our pleasure? And it doesn't have to be negative things. Mm-hmm. That may take away from our relationship with God, or could take away from it.
Well, let me first say shout out to my dear friend Lisa. Well, it's classic. Ecclesiastes tells us there's nothing new under the sun. It really boils down to we can pursue positions that whatever that is, whether it's the CEO or whether it's a husband or a wife, we can seek positions. We can seek possessions. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff of life. And we can seek prosperity, and that's the finances. And the challenge that we face is that all three of those things have a role in our lives. The challenge that we face is whether those fall under the overarching authority of God in our lives. Does God umbrella everything else is the challenge.
Yeah, and if we all these things are good, pursuit of a career, going up the corporate ladder, or having another business and as an entrepreneur, those aren't bad things.
No.
Having a large bank account, having a fit body, whatever the case is, if those pursuits take precedence over over our pursuit of God, then that becomes an idol in life. And I've always said that our families can become an idol. As wonderful as our families are, our church can become an idol. As wonderful as church life is, your position as pastor can become an idol. As wonderful as that is to you, right? And privilege.
That's true.
Why would the Lord? So here's the thing. So God is going to go after those things that are going to get our attention. So He went after Baal because it was going to get attention to people. Anyone notice any economic problems going on in the world today? If your pursuit is your job or money or things like that, well, God may get your attention through the loss of a job. Who knows? If it's food or sexual pleasure or just entertainment, whether it be media or having the most followers on social media, whatever it is, right? So here's the question: is God going to bless you in those areas if those areas are taking precedent over him?
No, but I
Yeah.
know you need more airtime than that.
Yeah.
The challenge that we face is this, is that God's primary passion for us is to be restored into fellowship to him through his son by faith and grace, and in that be transformed into the image of his son. God is more concerned about our eternal security than our temporary convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is this, is anything that we pursue, regardless of how good we think it is, regardless of how good our culture thinks that it is, if it is not in parallel with biblical teaching, God's hand will not be on it.
Amen. That's right. And why would God? And I'm a simple guy, right? And it's just said, why would God bless anything that's in competition with him? So
Right.
that's just
Well,
my
and what's funny is, as human beings, now I'm not saying you might not be marginally successful.
Absolutely.
I mean, what does it profit man if he gained the whole world? Well, so the challenge that we face is this: as a believer, sometimes we mistake in the fact that God hasn't smacked us down as his blessing. And that is a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you read the scriptures, God's judgment is when he gives his people over to their own desires.
Right.
God's judgment on us when we're pursuing ungodliness may be a smackdown. Could be. Or worse, let me say this, it's worse when God just gives you over to yourself.
Right. Yeah. So we always remember, just because you're killing it in the business world doesn't mean that that you are blessed.
That's
in
right.
the kingdom, and
That's exactly right.
So okay. So we see the point there. Then, like Joshua, Elijah, demands that people stand and make a choice. So in 1 Kings 18, he says, Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you hesitate between two opinions?" And I love it when he says this. If the Lord is your God, follow him. If Baal is your God, follow him. What he's saying, if the Lord is your God, follow God. If the world is your God, follow the world. But don't try and do both. And
Yes.
Now, when we're in the world, everything in context, everything below the Father. We need to go to work. We need to be successful. We need to, money makes the world go round. You need to have a few dollars in your bank account so you can pay the bills that are coming up, right? All those things are things that need to take place. But the thing here is that, but the people said nothing. That was their answer was nothing.
Yes.
The people said nothing. So the passage and the plea, it's similar to Joshua 24. For me and my house will serve the Lord, but with the exception, the people here are silent. I'm going to say they're probably silent because they didn't really want to change anything.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
To not answer is an answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of our interesting world today is, there is no neutral. That is a deception. There is no such thing as neutral.
Right.
You're either, you're somewhere. Everyone has an opinion about someone. Everyone has feelings about something. Now, how we choose to express them or when we choose, all those things. But I love, Joshua calls him and says, "Hey, stop riding the fence. You're just going to tear, the crotch of your jeans out. You can't have two masters." In my mind, I see someone standing and they have the hand of the world in one and the hand of the Lord in the other, and they're trying to pull the two together.
You're just straining.
And they can't do it. You can't do it. Or like an action movie where the person in peril's got the hand of the hero in one hand and a bag of something in the other, and he goes, let the bag go, and they're trying to struggle, which one do I want? We all wrestle with that to varying degrees every day. I can say this, that the wrestling gets easier the more that you make the better choice.
Yeah. Let's take a look at that. So I'm sure you'll be smiling and chuckling of this, but let's take a closer look at the God of entertainment here. And let's not fool ourselves. I mean, you guys know I speak plainly, right? Let's not fool ourselves. We can all get caught up in the pursuit of things. We can all get caught up in entertainment, and it will it could eventually, get the best of us. But so imagine this, everyone. So it's Sunday morning, just a morning not too unlike this morning. People start arriving early for church. They even set up a backup alarm so they're not late for church. So how many times has something been so important to you that you not only set the alarm, but you set another alarm to make sure that you don't miss the first one, right? All right. Throughout the week, the excitement builds for Sunday morning. There's talk shows going on about what happened last week at the service. Maybe there's movie clips of, video clips of the singing, or maybe highlights of Jimmy's service. Sunday comes around, people are loading up their trucks and their SUVs hours ahead of time. Dad's saying, let's go, hurry up, we're going to be late. Mom says at 6 a.m., where we got plenty of time. But Dad reminds everyone that they had to sit in the back of the church last Sunday, so they want to get a front row seat this time. Traffic might be bad. We have to make sure we get there on time. If I have to park a couple miles away, it's okay. Jimmy, you arrive at the parking lot, and people have breakfast burritos and donuts and coffee, kind of tailgating going on. Maybe got a TV set up of, maybe some classic highlights and maybe Billy Graham or something like that, playing in the parking lot. The weather's great, but it doesn't really matter if the weather's good or not, because if it's raining, you're still going to come to it. We finally unlock the doors and turn off the alarm, and crowds start streaming in to find their place in the sanctuary. Service starts. People get up on their feet. They're standing up. They're, of course, you probably got the teenagers down front, maybe doing the wave or something. Who knows? You might be able to preach better with that, right? Mm-hmm. After a couple hours, everyone looks at their watch and they say, man, I hope this sermon goes into overtime.
That's right.
So, that's a silly scenario when we talk about church, right? But if you throw football in there, it's perfectly apt, right?
It is applicable almost irregardless of how terrible the team is.
Absolutely.
Some of the biggest tailgaters are the Buffalo Bill fans, and they've been terrible forever.
But they still have a good time.
Can you imagine what it would be like to roll in on a Sunday morning and you got people tailgating? Back in and around 2000, when after the Soviet Union fell, I can remember hearing accounts of churches or church services being held in the former Soviet Union, where people would line up and stand in line for hours just to get in. And they would roll service after service after service. And they would have 6, 7, 8 services in a row just to let the people get in. And I remember then I thought, Lord, I want to get next to that.
Mm-hmm. We talk about these things and the pursuit of our entertainment. We go to great lengths to entertain ourselves, and we plan, and we think about it. Just think about, Jimmy, when you and I went to the baseball game. Mm-hmm. Okay, we communicated, this is when we're going to leave, this is where we're going to meet. Let's get there early for this. We kind of knew where our seats were going to be, where we're going to park. There's a lot of planning that went in. Sometimes when we prepare for the things of God, it's, I'm a couple minutes late. Yeah. Grab your phone and go out the door. And there's no prep whatsoever, right?
No. And to kind of build on your analogy here is, we did all that planning because we had an anticipation of an experience. We know the Rangers aren't that great, but the experience, not only where it was, what it was, the greater experience was with who it was. It was with you and the other guys that were with us. That was the bestest experience. And, if you haven't seen me lately, I've got a little bit of a comfort in walking issue, but you know what? I just gutted up and did it. You know why? Because the experience was that valuable to me. It was worth the discomfort.
Yeah. If we put more let me just say, we need to be careful that our entertainment, our pursuit of entertainment in our lives does not become the object of our worship. That our sports teams, our even going to see our kids or grandkids play ball, going to a movie, going out to eat, just it doesn't become our object of worship, our idol, the things that gives us the most pleasure. Entertainment can certainly gives us pleasure, but as we look at this um, sort of god of entertainment, and if we're not careful, we all have it. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you like to cook, there's things that can be your god in that. If you like sports, there's that. If you like um, art, there's that. If
Yeah.
you like whatever
Well,
technology, there's that. It doesn't matter.
really, that, and you're spot on. The scripture calls us that anything that is not ungodly or unlawful are liberties to us, and all of those things must be done in moderation and in balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest struggle in the Christian life is the balance of life, because it's in that where we find a passion towards spiritual things, and a resting in them. And the challenge that we face is a proper tension or balance doesn't happen by accident. Like what you were saying a minute ago, if you're not striving toward, preparing for, and intentional to spiritual growth and balance, guess what? You're going to get exactly what you planned for.
Yeah. And
that's just, yeah.
I would submit to say that we have a cultural obsession instead of a godly,
Yes.
Obsession. So, and what I mean by that is, our relevance in our culture, in our societal, in our society, in our neighborhood, whatever you want to say, can become a substitute religion in our lives, and it can totally consume us. Our place in society, our place in the business world, our place in the community, our place in the church, our place in the family, our place. We're so consumed with that sometimes that it becomes a religion in and of itself, right?
Right.
And because we're always wanting to proceed. I see the TV can be the one-eye monster too. Absolutely, Lisa. The TV and unfortunately these things, our social media. So, our temples have become, the stadiums, or our sacred grounds have become the social platforms maybe that we're on. Instead of the hallowed grounds of Lambeau Field, it's the hallowed grounds of Twitter, or whatever the case is. How many times do you make a post, then you go back and look? Okay, did anybody like that? Did anybody comment on it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we're always sort of consumed by that. So we're consumed by our place in society. Where our cultural obsession is that, maybe about our how interested we are in celebrities or sports figures or even political figures today, right? I never thought I'd say that, but yes, we're concerned more about the latest what the latest person on at Hollywood is wearing, instead of maybe what's going on in our own community. And I just don't want to touch on that too, but whether it's gaming, a lot of people spend a lot of time playing games. Social networks we've already talked on. Lisa talked about TV. TV is there. Where is the TV typically in the house?
On the biggest wall.
On the biggest wall, kind of in the center of the room, right?
And multiple walls.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I will admit, I think I have a TV in every room. But that's that's just kind of the way it is.
It's an integral part of our daily life. Yeah, for sure.
So don't get me wrong, and don't leave here saying with just a couple minutes that Jeff's saying we don't need to be entertained. But what I'm saying is, check ourselves, and let's have some balance. If we spend more time preparing for the next thing we're going to binge watch on Netflix, or going to a ball game, or going out to eat a nice steak somewhere, or dinner, or if we spend if all our time is consumed by simply entertaining ourselves, it might have a higher position in our lives than our relationship with God.
A simple litmus test would be everyone who has a phone has a little app. Let's see, what is that thing called? Notes. And a simple litmus test is this: is journal the spiritual things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer, watching, something on TV, a sermon on TV, listening to a podcast, listening to Christian radio, not music necessarily, but biblical discussion type radio, Bible reading, ministry, corporate worship attendance. Keep a journal of how much time you do that. Keep it for 7 days. Do the math. And most of us will be let me back up and say this. All of us will have a varying degree of disappointment. Some of us will be greatly disappointed when we look at the disproportionate balance of our spiritual lives versus day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. You opened with the fact that we are busy and things, but I still have control and I still have choices. And I still have a responsibility.
Yeah, and I think you said yesterday, the one thing we still control is our time.
That's right.
That is what we control. You talk about math, and there's one stat that I had. If anyone has teenage kids, says the average young person, this has probably gone up a little bit because it's a few years old, but the average young person racks up 10,000 hours of gaming by the age of 21. That is 24 hours less than what they spend in the classroom for all of their middle and high school years.
It's higher.
Attendance. Yeah.
That's a large gap today. Mm-hmm.
So, but just think, they spend more time in front of video games and gaming instead of in the classroom for instruction. So for us as adults, I don't spend that much time doing video games, but I spend, listen, we're authentic, right? I am surely more disappointed than I am patting myself on the back for the time that I spend in spiritual pursuits or the pursuit of anything else. So listen, I can, do I want it that way all the time? No, but there's some weeks where the pursuit of Jeff is here and the pursuit of God is here. Mm-hmm. There's some weeks where it's like this, but so we have to be careful, and that's a great thing that we can do. Is
and with that statement, let me just encourage us all. It's a lifelong effort. In my mind, I thought of this years ago. The Christian life, to me, what I see is a big top. I know that's an old illustration now, but have you ever watched them put up a big top? I mean, it's really quite amazing. It takes a lot of people with a very orchestrated effort. But in my mind, our lives oftentimes are like big tops that we're trying to build alone. Because what we tend to do is we run to the area that's sagging to give it the attention. And we'll stay there until there's another sag. And that's the way we can be if we're not careful. Let's just be honest, far too often, the spiritual aspects of life kind of slide to the back burner until life overwhelms us and begins to sag. And then we go to that area and we need, and we need it and we want it and we build it up and those sort of things. And so it's a constant challenge for all of us, including myself, to strive to maintain a proper biblical balance in our lives. And listen, as a pastor, it's the same for me. Mm-hmm. And so I can't speak for every other pastor, but I can tell you for this one, I have the same challenges that you do. I'm just privileged to have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to work responsibilities, but the physical ministry of a pastor sometimes can can overwhelm the spiritual ministry. You know, I'm not complaining, but I was on campus till 7 o'clock last night because my bread wasn't completely baked. I just wasn't at peace with what we needed today, and just, you know, the week was short and the work was long, but you know, you've got to do what you've got to do.
So I'm gonna take that real quick. I'm gonna take that example. I know we only have a minute, but for all of us who you know, we're not working there, and you know, but your job, so to speak, or one of your primary jobs is to prepare your sermon for Sunday morning, right? So the rest of us get up and go to work every day, but that was interrupted for ministry.
Yes.
So what I would say is sometimes life happens and we may have this job that we have to do, but it was interrupted. So you had to go do ministry for a while, then come back to your job. It's the same way with us. Sometimes, you know, we need to be available and willing to step out of our job and do ministry and come back to that job, you know, a little bit later. I just wanted to say that because it applies to all of us. But listen, entertainment is a gift from God. So I want to live on this positive note. You know, joy and laughter and enjoying the fun things of life are, you know, it's a tremendous blessing, you know, to me. Now, the things that I enjoy are different today than they were pre-Christ, but you know, but I will say,
well, not all of them. You just have a different attitude.
Yeah, different perspective and attitude. So God is a God of joy, and you know, take pleasure in those things. Just be careful and make sure that they have their proper perspective and proper place in our lives. And if it's not, this is a time that we can that we can correct that. Believe me, there's been times in my life where the pursuit of X has outweighed my pursuit of God, and thankfully, you know, I didn't get too far down the road before I was challenged in that. So,
well, you know, the Lord has a way of calling us back. The challenge is, do we hear Him?
That's
you know?
right. Well, brother, I'm going to let you close
okay.
us out so I can get to the service, and I will see you in a few minutes.
I will see you in a few. Thanks, brother.
Right. Take care, everyone.
Well, as always, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time and the effort to be here with us for our coffee talk on Sunday morning. I absolutely love this forum. I love discussing biblical truths and wrestling with tough questions. You know, the scripture says that iron sharpens iron, and we should come together and reason. I just think this is a wonderful platform that I enjoy a great deal. And I want to, again, say thank you for taking the time, whether you're with us here live now or whether you're going to pick this up a little later. Either way, thank you so much for taking time to pursue spiritual matters. If you're in Greenville or in the Greenville area, I'd encourage you to come and join us in person today. I'm going to introduce our sermon series on the biblical character of Hannah. Hannah is a wonderful woman who had some very common struggles, and her response was very uncommon. And so today we're going to open up our study of Hannah, a faith that follows through. For those of you guys that just can't be here in person today, whether it's job or maybe you live further off, some of you guys, and I want you to get up, go potty up, get coffeeed up, and come back and join us here in about 15 minutes. We're going to have a wonderful day in the Lord. Love you guys. Again, thank you so much. Just know that, you know, if you ever have need, we're here for you. We're in this together, and the Lord will carry us through. Be well and be blessed. And if the Lord wills, I'll see you guys in about 15 minutes. Until then, take care.